Let's take a closer look at the fish. We don't have a bluefin tuna, but we've got an excellent representation of one over here. The first thing is the size of these fish. Now, this one is about 1.80 metre long. They can grow to 3.3 metres. The various biggest ones can weigh up to 800 kilograms. The ones that we get on this side of the Atlantic, normally about 650. That's more than 100 stone, whatever the earth that is. They occur in huge shoals, sometimes 100, sometimes 1,000, and they can live to up to 20 years. They are remarkable fish. Now let's look at the anatomy. At the tail end here, you've got this very, very powerful tail connected to all of the muscles in the body here, and this is the powerhouse of this fish. They swipe that from side to side to push themselves through the water. They've got a double dorsal fin here and a large pectoral fin. This is stabilising, so if you're going that fast, you've got to keep yourself orientated correctly. And they do go fast, speeds of up to 50 miles an hour, because they're ferocious predators chasing after their prey, and equally prey themselves. They can be taken by sharks and toothed whales. But if you're speeding through the water at 50 miles an hour and you're using all of this muscular activity, you're generating heat. And you don't want to waste that heat. You want to put it to good use, and tuna do exactly that. You see, most fish, the smaller fish, we call them poikilothermic, and they can normally only raise their body temperature about 2 degrees over the temperature of the water. But tuna can lift their body temperature by 21 degrees. And a hotter fish is a faster fish, a quicker thinking fish, and a fish that can see better. Perfect if you're a predator. The question is, how do they do it? How do they get that temperature up? Well, if I remove this flap from the tuna here, you can see that what they're doing is they're using a counter-current heat flow system. So, the venous blood that's going back to the heart here runs in blood vessels which are parallel and close to the arterial blood, the red blood here, which is coming out of the heart. So that's the warm blood. Now, the venous blood is coming back from the extremities, and particularly the gills, where the oxygen exchange means it's a little bit cooler. So they're running parallel, but they're running in opposite directions. And that means that as the cold blood is coming back into the body, it's being warmed by the warm blood that's being pumped out. And it's by using this method that they can raise their body temperature. So a hugely successful fish. But what it also means is that they can live in places which are typically cold. So here's the range of the Atlantic, the eastern race of the Atlantic bluefin tuna, and you can see it extends all the way up here north of Scotland off the coast of Iceland in that cold water, and that's down to that countercurrent heat flow. Most of the breeding is still done in the Mediterranean here. But look at it, it's a big fish, there's a lot of meat on that, and I can tell you that they've been fished for thousands of years. A cave was discovered in Sicily with cave paintings that were 11,000 years old, and they showed tuna being fished. And of course, at that time, there was probably not too much damage being done to the population, but I'm afraid to say things changed rather more recently. In the 1800s, their population was relatively stable, but as you can see from the 1960s, it went into a precipitous decline. So why was that? Well, a change in dietary habits in Japan and North America, the invention of purse seine nets made out of plastic, and critically, factory vessels which could freeze the fish at sea. And overfishing drove the population all the way down here. And of course, they are extraordinarily valuable as well. So Japanese sushi fish, well, one sold in 2019, forget it, just get this, it's unbelievable. One fish, £2,431,410 for one fish. And recently, another one was sold for £1.2 million. That was this year. Well, we did everything we could to protect them. So once we knew the population was going down, we reduced the number of catches that were allowed, we monitored those catches, and we limited the fishing seasons. And the body that looks after the world's wildlife in terms of its classification, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, designated them as endangered in 1996. But the population, as a result of this, did start to grow. And it grew to the point that it was growing faster than they expected, and so by 2015 They were endangered, they were downgraded to near threatened, and in 2021 they were downgraded from near threatened to least concern. Now when I say downgraded, the level of protection came down because the number of animals was going up. So all of this sounds like really good news, particularly as people like Rupert are now seeing them off of the UK coast, but I'm afraid to say that the tuna fishery globally is still being seriously overfished. And we are thinking already about quotas to fish those animals that are in our waters, which is quite worrying. Okay, what can we do about it? Well, what we can do about it is think about what we eat and the cost of what we eat. And that's not just the pounds that you spend in the supermarket aisle, but the environmental cost of what you put in your mouth. So think perhaps twice about eating bluefin tuna.